You got to be careful with pruning. You got to be careful with pruning. When I really got serious about the spiritual things and about taking the truth, which I knew to be true, quite seriously, I had an urge on my Facebook to do some pruning, to cut everybody off, cut off all these people on Facebook that I was connected to, and over 1,000 people on my Facebook, and the things that they post about and that they talk about was no longer, I realized, in alignment with the things that I cared about, their subjects, their topics of conversation, what was important to them, what they valued. None of that was important to me anymore. Not that it, for the most part, that it ever was. But, I just kind of went along with these things, or, just ignored them. It wasn't a big deal. But now it was sticking out to me more. It was more unrelatable. It was more obscene. I saw it as more fruitless. But you got to be careful about pruning. Because when you are pruning, you got to be careful that you only get rid of those things that are truly unfruitful. Things that have really shown themselves to be unfruitful, decaying, dead. Because not everything, if you're in a place where you're pruning, not everything that hasn't yet become fruitful is truly unproductive. Some things just haven't developed yet, haven't become fruitful yet. And you don't want to cut those things off, because if you do so, you're going to be seriously impeding the productiveness and the fruitfulness of what it is that you're pruning. You're going to be working against yourself. You're going to be doing the opposite of what your whole pruning activity is about. Because pruning is something that you do, you want to help this thing grow. And so you get rid of the things that are not advantageous to that. But just because something hasn't become fruitful yet, hasn't developed yet, doesn't mean it necessarily needs to go away. It's those things that are really dead. Those things that are really dead and decaying. Those are the things you want to snip. Those are the things you want to get rid of. The dead ends. Cut those things off. So like I said, as I was going through my Facebook page, and people had this tendency, they'll make an announcement about it. They make an announcement. It's like, look, I'm about to start cutting down my friends list. It's a trend. And I had seen that before, and I was like, whatever. But then now I found myself doing it. I was like, so I posted a picture. Of a shrub and somebody pruning it. Well, I'm the type of individual You know, I got to look a little bit deeper into things. I got to start looking up definitions and understanding. I was like, pruning. I was like, well, why do people really do that? Start looking up research about pruning. And I see there's a process to it. And then, this things start clicking. I start putting things together. I read a book as well, Purpose Driven Life. Struggling to remember the author's name. I think it was Warren something. Somebody gave me warning about him and, taking his ideas in. But, there's a lot of things I have access to. And, you got to sometimes separate the good from the bad with things. Matter of fact, I think that's something he probably talked about in the book. But one thing that I know he certainly talked about and that I remember was, about being isolated as he would have phrased it, as a person in a Christian walk or whatever. But as an individual walking the walk of truth and spirituality, saying that basically, isolation is not really the way. Not dealing with people is not really the way. You have to deal with people because, for one, you can have an effect on those people, and he's kind of saying, living the life of like a monk and all that, it's not really the way. It's kind of what his opinion was. It's what he was saying. And, I would say that isolation, perhaps temporarily, does have its merit. But there's also some merit to what he's saying. And he pointed out, the life of the Son of Man, of Christ, Mashiach, how he came down, and he was among people. How else can you have an effect if you don't deal with people? So, some of these things click together. What is pruning all about? What is that about? And am I doing the right thing by cutting these people off, not giving them access to me anymore? And, people that if I disagree with you on anything, if I saw you post, I'm just everybody that, if I don't see you talking about what I'm talking about, I'm about to cut you off, cutting everybody off. I'm just going to, only people that are talking about the same thing. But, if you get into that kind of group, okay, you still have to deal with people, and you're still probably going to find things you disagree on. So if you continue this pattern, you continue this path, you just end up truly alone, isolated, and unable to deal with people. So rather, you increase your ability to deal with people. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes at the time, you may not have what you need. The ability, the capability, the capacity to deal with people, because you are needing to deal with yourself. You're needing to grow in a personal capacity right now. You really need to focus on solidifying and developing a strength within yourself apart from people. And that could be a real need. I'll kind of back to the purpose-driven life, kind of what he was saying was, you develop that strength and ability to deal with people by dealing with people. It's been a long while since I read that book, but I believe that's one of the points that he kind of gets to. You can't be better at dealing with people when you refuse to deal with people. You can't have a positive effect on people when you refuse to deal with people. All right, well, that makes perfect sense. So, yeah, you basically have to find sort of a middle ground. I used to have a cat I had a few cats, but a couple of my favorite cats were Padme and Mia. And I had Mia first. And I used to go get the cat food from Mia. And on the back, let me see, Imes. Imes was it was my favorite food. I mean, I didn't eat it, but it was my favorite food to get for Mia, my cat. She was like a gray, I don't know, domestic short hair. That's what they call it. And I love Mia. I remember when I first got her, she was purring so loud, and it just sounded like a little motor, and it was around her throat area, and she was so happy to come home, and I was so happy to have her, and I just loved Mia, and I felt very paternal about her. So, I wanted Mia to have the best. And I got an Imes because I felt, I look at the packaging and it looked like, this is the best stuff right here to get. And I used to be concerned and worried. Like, I had a job and everything. I used to be concerned. I was like, man, what if I don't have enough money to get cat food from Mia? It's like, I was really going through these, these paternal feelings. It's like I had a new baby or whatever. But what I found, one of the things I found, and this is a different principle I'm talking about another time, is that somehow whatever I needed, it would show up. It would be there. And so I found that I was always able to go and get the cat food for Mia. And it wasn't even, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a struggle. I was always capable and I was always able. I always had what I needed to answer a need or a requirement. So that's another principle that for another topic to talk about how that happens. But back to the subject at hand, the packaging. I remember this is like a blue bag that I used to get. And I look at it, you look at the back of the packaging, and it had this little diagram, and the diagram would talk about all the needs that a cat has. And try to help you understand your cat. And it talked about food, and it talked about other things, and it kind of broke it down into different categories. But one that stood out to me was, sometimes your cat needs isolation. Sometimes it needs to just be by itself. And it's like, there's other things like, sometimes your cat needs playtime. It needs food, nutrients, and it break down. I don't remember. I haven't seen this bag in a long time. But I gotta go back and look at it because it's important. Because human beings have some of those same exact needs. And you need to understand that about yourself and about other people. But this isolation thing or separation, time for yourself, me time, it's a real need. Sometimes you need me time. Sometimes you need just me time, just separation. Not forever. Not too much, but enough. Because there's some things that you need to feed. You need your own space. You need to, that was another one. They need some space. And they really break this stuff down about, what your cat needs. But I couldn't help but think, man, a lot of these needs, these are the same exact needs that a person has. And I was in a relationship at the time with a girl, and I was like, look, babe, look. It's like me time. I was like, look. I was like, I can relate. Sometimes, look, is this what you understand about me? Look, if the cat needs that, you know what? Sometimes I need me time. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but wow. I don't know. That's me. It's like that's I don't know. There's some stuff out there. There's some information out there that relates to a person born in the time that I'm born, and I'm not gonna give very much credence to that sort of thing, horoscopes and like daily horoscopes and all that. But there is there's a little something, there's a little bit of something. I don't give it any heavy credence. Okay. But people born in a certain season, let me tell you, you are affected by the moon. You're affected by the stars. You're affected by things. The moon affects, the tide and listen, the sun, the wind, and all that stuff. Like all these things working together. And you yourself, you were created from the stuff that came from stars. You yourself, you're made of stardust. As somebody has said, everything came from the stars, and the stars came from the one. So that that's about a person that's born in time, around the time I'm born. It's kind of said, that hey, that's how these type of people are. It's like you got to give them their space. And about me individually, I can say there's some truth, at least to that element. Not all those things that's said about me, they don't really apply. But that, they like their space kind of thing. They're kind of jovial, happy-go-lucky type. A lot of that stuff, philosophers, a lot of those things apply. I'm like, wow. I was like, yeah, there's a little something to it. I can't deny. Okay. Now, when you get to, you should be checking this stuff on a daily, and whatever it says, you should be looking for this and that. No, that's not how you shouldn't be guarding, or carrying out your life based on that daily horoscope stuff. You know what I'm saying? And if it says this, then you're worried about that. And if it says, hey, today it's gonna be a good day, then you're like, okay, now you're in a good mood. No, you're not guided by that. That's not what's in control. Now, the other sort of generalizations, there may be here and there some truth to it. But see, that's the thing about lies. The most effective lie is something that's going to be mixed in with a little bit of truth. It's going to have verisimilitude. It's going to have the, a sound, a ring of sound of truth, because a little bit of truth is mixed into it. And if I get you to focus on that little bit of piece of truth, then you're not going to notice when I slip this lie in. That's kind of what happens. What do they call it? Earmarking in the political arena. Something like that. I don't know. I gotta look it up. I don't remember. But earmarking sounds right. Because what we talking about, verisimilitude. And just the mention of the ear. Just the ring of truth in it. If I could just get you to focus on that part, then I'll slip this little lie in. I hit my target with your ear. I just want you to hear something that tingles your ear. Sounds a little bit like truth. And now, you won't mind these lies that I slip in, the other stuff, the extra stuff that I'm throwing in here. It's a political thing that happens, and say, hey, this is the Patriot Act. This is, no children left behind. This is, this is whatever. It's got a nice name to it. But if you go through that thing, okay, then you're going to find out, hey, man, they slipped a lot of stuff in here that, first of all, don't have anything to do with what they're talking about. And it's a lot of policy that if everybody knew what was in here, this never would have passed. Well, that's in the political arena. Now, in the religious arena, you got the same thing going on. Same thing. You got verisimilitude. You got people talking to certain points out of the Bible. And there's people, put a good name, a catchy little name on the sermon. Something that sounds good. And the people love it. They eat it up. So it's a tingling sound to their ears, something they love to hear. We're going to mix a little bit of truth in it. Okay? We're going to read about 2 or 3 lines from the Bible, and then I'm just going to do a whole lot of talking. They're going to give you a whole bunch of unsubstantiated doctrine and ideas that have been passed on for a long period of time. And I know you're not going to go home and check it and read your Bible to see, hey, is Pastor telling me the truth? Is that really what it? Is that really what it says? I know you're just going to trust whatever it is that I say. Even if I tell you, go home and read it on your own time. Read the rest of it. I know 99% of you are not going to go do it. You just come in and put in your time. On a Sunday, which is not even the Sabbath or the Shabbat. I know you're just mindless sheep. And I'm a shepherd misleading you. This is a situation that you have in the church, in the religious institutions, especially the Christian church. So they give you something that kind of sounds like the truth. It's full of lies. And then the people, they become discouraged. They become fed up. Because they start to realize that I've been sold a lemon. This is not working. This is not effective. It has no effect. There's no power to this because you've been taking in lies and not the truth. That's why it doesn't have any effect. That's why it doesn't have any real power. But for some people, it's enough. You know, they love the lie. They eat it up. It's enough for them. You know why? Because it allows them to do what they want to do. It's a small requirement. Just come in. Come in on Sunday, the day of the sun. Just come in on Sunday, put in your time, put in a half hour, put in an hour. Go home, get you some chicken before you go home. And you feel good. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my part. I'm living a holy, righteous life because I went to church on Sunday. Now I go home and eat this chicken. I'm going to continue to live my life however I want to. I know I'm going to heaven. I did my part. This is the situation you have in the church. So that the religious institution and the leaders in it, the pastors, the bishop, is no better than your politicians and those leaders in Congress and the practices that they do. Matter of fact, your church is following your political institutions. They're governed by them. They set themselves up like the corporations. They set themselves up to be organized and to behave just like the corporations and the politicians. So they're no different. It's the same old wolves in different clothing. They just look like sheep. But inside, they're ravenous wolves. At least I can respect the wolf for showing up in his own skin and being what he is. Listen, I'm a carnivore. I want something to eat. Give me those sheep. At least I know it. I can see you coming. I know to get myself a sheepdog so I can defend my sheep. But here you go, Wile E. Coyote. You want to put on some sheep clothing and sneak on in. You got to be real crafty about it. That's why I got to tell my sheep, listen, you got to be wise as a serpent, innocent as a dove. Because what have they said? Let us deal wisely with them so that we can cut them off from being a nation. But it won't happen. I've already said, if this fixed order shall depart from me, if this fixed order, which I put in place, which I ordain, so that the sun, the moon, and the stars, they cease to appear at their appointed times, then will they cease to be a nation before me forever. But I tell you now, even if the sun, the moon, and the stars, if they should fail, I will keep my own. I have kept them and keep Oh, but don't get too happy, Yasharal, because I'm going to deal with you justly. All of you to think that merely by the color of your skin that you're justified before me, that gives you an automatic walk into heaven card. Oh, no. All of you that are so proud, I'm the seed of Abraham. If you were, you would do as Abraham did. You would be humble. You would be obedient. You would be my servant if you were the seed of Abraham, of Isaac, of Yahuah. But I will reserve a remnant for myself. And they I will keep. Oh, I have a way of accomplishing my purpose many ways. I thought about it carefully. Don't fool yourself into believing that my justice is somehow going to be compromised for your sake. Because you're the seed of Yahuah, my servant. No. But it was in Isaac that I established my covenant. What's the difference between the two? Research it. Find it out. There were some problems with Yahuah. A supplanter. I wrestled with him. And I changed his name. Because not everything that hasn't become fruitful yet deserves to be cut off. Some things will develop and grow in time. And you got to allow them that time to do so, to help them grow into what they can be. So you got to be careful with pruning. You got to take the time and be your best and highest self. And that'll help you see the potential and the best about others. Because a lot of what you see in the world has more to do with who you are, how you see yourself. Yeah, sure. There's something out there externally. But your internal self It's filtering all of that. And that has a huge effect on what it is that you see. You see, a lot of the problem that I had when I decided I was going to prune, so to speak, the friends on my Facebook page start cutting these people off. A lot of the problem that I had was connected to me, to who I was, to what I didn't like about myself at the time. I didn't need any reminders. I don't want to see any reminders of that kind of stuff. So anybody reminding me of that kind of stuff, I got to cut them off. That's what the mentality was. It has more to do with me. I realized that, you know what? That's not right. That's not right. You know what? Let me fix myself. Let me fix myself first. Let me become better. Let me grow. Then, instead of cutting them off, guess what? I can help them grow. Maybe. If they're willing, if they want it the way that I want it, and if they don't, guess what? They might end up just deleting themselves because they might go through the same thing. Like, I don't want to hear that what he's talking about. I don't want to hear that holy righteous stuff. Cut them off. Good. Thank you. Thank you. You saved me the trouble of having to cut you off. But listen, when you're ready, when you want to come back, you want to hear this righteous truth that I have to talk about, well, you're welcome to come back. I mean, as long as there's time. As long as there's still time for you to do it, you're welcome to come back. Now, some people don't get that opportunity. Some people look, it's dead. It's dead. It's dead. There's no need for us to be connected. Cut it off. Boom. Yes. There's a purpose to pruning. There, because you don't want that cutting off the things that need to grow. Anyway, I'm not gonna get all into it. I'm not gonna get all into the process of pruning and thoughts behind it and yada yada yada. Go look it up. Go look it up. Go research it. But yeah, you don't want the dead things basically cutting off the things that can grow. So I guess that's the short of it. And it's just, it's not going to grow. It's wasting energy, wasting resources. It's dead weight. Cut it off. Dead end. Cut it off. So I think that brings me kind of full circle. Touched on a few things. And so it's well enough. I'm going to leave it right there. Probably. And if I'm inspired to, I'll come back and finish this. I think it's finished. But I'll come back and I'll talk more if I think of some more. But how long have I been going? 38 minutes. That's good. I'm going to try to keep these things shorter because, I got a lot to say. And, I think it just helps, if I kind of condense these things a little, because I can be very verbose. I got a lot to say. Got a lot to talk about. I've been silent for a long time. So I got a lot to say. But I don't want to be overwhelming. I think you kind of have to break these things down into smaller, digestible chunks or pieces, so that they're easier to deal with, easier to process. You can't eat an entire elephant all at one time. One bite at a time. That's how you get it done. So, I like to ramble. and go on and on and on like I'm doing right now. But I'm gonna try to keep these things. I'm trying to keep these things into manageable size, and maybe instead of making them so long, I just make more of them, but keep them down in size, so that they're more manageable and easy to take in. That's going to be the goal going forward. And I may not be able to do that every time, so I'll probably find a happy compromise where I do that sometimes, and then I also have my lengthy discussions where I don't limit myself, and I just go on and say as long as I have something to say, because that's important too. Sometimes people have to say something, and then sometimes people say because they have something to say. And so I try not to talk a whole lot unless I really have something to say, rather than talking because I have to say something. So that's it. And now I'm for sure going to bring this one to an end. Shalom. Okay, I'm back. Okay. All right. Now, this is not going to take long. There's something that I kind of touched on a little bit, but I didn't really explicitly say it. So here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why you shouldn't be so quick to just kind of cut everybody off, because you never know. For one, as a human being, you never really know exactly what's going on with people that you're connected to, people that are surround you. You never really know what somebody's going through, what's happening inside them. And the other thing is, you never really know, for the most part, everybody that's watching you. You don't really know. You don't really know who's really watching you, because you just never know, because people hide it. Now, somebody may be watching you that you'll never know, because they don't want you to know that they're watching. You don't know who's paying attention to you, because they don't want you to know. People have their pride. They don't want to be weird. There's a lot of different reasons. Those are two of the main reasons. People don't want to let you know that they're watching you. People don't want to let you know that they admire you. They don't want to appear voyeuristic. There's many different reasons why people may not want to let you know that, hey, look, I'm watching you. I see what you're doing. Yada, yada, yada. I'm learning from you. They may not want to let you know that. So you never really know who's watching you. So, go ahead. Go ahead and be your best self. Be your best self. Because you don't know also who's watching you and who you can positively affect. So this is probably something. Like I said, it's been many years since I read that book, Purpose Driven Life. I found a lot of good nuggets in it. Thought it was good. So yeah, that's it. I said that wasn't gonna take long. So I think that's it. It's just something to be aware of. You know? And so this whole mentality of I'm going to cut everybody off. There's something good about that. So here's what I did. I made a compromise. I didn't cut everybody off on my original Facebook page. I did cut some off, but not to the extent that I had planned on. You know, I was going to be just very, very strict and very, merciless and and cutting people off on my Facebook page, right? And this wasn't recent. This was some years back. But I made a compromise. What I did was I just went and created myself another page, and I did on that page. It was first of all, second of all, this was an easier thing to do than cutting everybody off, like taking the time to go through that page and cut everybody off. I was like, no, I'll create myself a second page, and on that page, I'll just be extremely selective about who I allow to be connected to me on that page. That's what I did. And I keep the other page, and I still post on there because I realized that page is a good tool for me to affect other people who may not be where I am. Okay? And with this other page, I can kind of maneuver it easily to only allow people to come in that are in a similar space. Not exactly where I am, but on the wavelength and, around the area that I want to kind of be in and around with the, different focus and energy. So that was the compromise. So all of that being said, it's just some things to mull over in your head about what you may need as an individual, how you affect, connect, and influence others around you. About your own growth and the growth of others around you. So that really, 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 really is it. Shalom.
I must get free.